Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is Local Chat, episode 128. Joining me this week, as always, one Ian Gibson.
Hello, I don't want to be here.
Wow, that's so rude. And also joining me,
Being honest.
is the
Thank you for your
wonderful
honesty.
Stu.
Hey everybody, I do want to be here.
I've been looking
thank
forward
you.
to this all day, and when my internet went out this morning, I was very upset that I might have to miss this when the robot lady was like, it'll be probably done by 4:30. I was like,
Oh. You get a robot lady?
Yeah.
well, I called Verizon, and they
Oh.
said, is
Oh.
this related to the outage reported in your area? I was like, fucking probably.
What do you think, robot lady? Come on.
It also, I find it interesting, Verizon's official page redirects or has links to the down detector page because it's just easier to go to them.
I love that.
What is this? I was only concerned because they were doing construction, like street construction, not the daily construction on the first floor of my apartment building that is loud and awful. This was street construction. I thought maybe they severed something, but I guess they didn't. So that kind of worked out. Folks, we're here to talk about video games and also do a little bit of chit-chatting. I have brought to the chit-chat section this week. Wow, I can't believe I didn't say a single bad word there.
That was
That
pretty
was
good.
a mouthful.
Yeah.
What I have brought this week is Twitter. The whole of Twitter. Elon's here. We're going to be going through the... in following the footsteps of one Jake Terrio, and before him, I know Tested's Will Smith also does this, but you just block every ad or promoted tweet on Twitter while you're scrolling through it. And I never noticed it really because I mostly use Twitter on my computer where I have ad block, and that blocks promoted tweets and all that sort of stuff. So I never see ads unless I'm on my phone. And I've been scrolling Twitter on my phone a lot more, and I have gotten to the bottom barrel.
Oh, no.
Like, occasionally I'll have something popular pop in that's just like, how have you not showed up before? Like, I think today I don't think it was Coca-Cola, but it was like Cheez-Its or something. I was like, Cheez-Its, how have you made it this far into
Come
the
on.
blockpocalypse?
Into the bracket, yeah.
Yeah. So, I started taking screenshots of the horrible, terrible ones that I get now. A lot of crypto mining.
Yeah.
It's like a crypto paradise on
Yeah.
Twitter now.
Yeah.
Ever since
And
Elon
also
took
It's
over.
so sad.
a lot of real mining is the other thing I get advertised. Like,
I
Oh.
can see that.
okay, so here's one from most of these I'm gonna say their names because I don't think they're real even. This is Max Power Mining. They are verified. So
How many X's in Max? I need to know.
just one
Yeah.
X.
Oh.
Oh,
I was gonna bring
Okay.
this up.
not
I
really
didn't.
Max.
I never
then.
got a screenshot of it, but I did get a company called MinMax with one N, and it wasn't the actual MinMax, and I was like, oh,
All right, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
okay. This is the main one I was gonna read. The other ones we can go through. Our team has identified So this is just a tweet, promoted tweet. Our team has identified radiometric anomalies during the first 1,017 line kilometer of the ongoing first ever Healy-borne radiometric and magnetic survey over 100% owned Corvette Lake North property adjacent to Patriot Battery Metals Corvette property.
Whoa.
Yeah. Wow.
Full news release. Wait, it gets better. Full
My
news
God.
release to a URL. Not a hashtag, $MAXX, $MAXXF, which I assume are
Max.
stocks or
Max
something.
money.
Oh.
Whatever.
Yeah.
What does this mean? I'm glad they're putting this here. These are very promising preliminary geophysical anomalies that our team is excited to see. A radiometric survey detects and maps natural radioactive emanations, gamma rays, from rocks and soils. When you have a high amount of gamma rays detected, along with a mag low that our gravity survey can detect, this double anomaly has a high correlation with pegmatites. What's a pegmatite?
do you
We
spell
can
it? How do you...
you can then use soil sampling like lake sediment data to hone in on the most prospective I don't know a single thing. What are they trying to promote to me? What is any of this?
Well, apparently they're trying to promote pegmatite, which is a common
Pegmatite.
plutonic rock of variable texture and coarseness, and composed of interlocking crystals of varying sizes.
Oh, perfect. I just found that fascinating. I didn't even capture the whole tweet on one phone scroll.
Yeah.
And I just said I'm gonna snap a little bit of it. The other one I got was from BizTech Magazine for day 2 of the Snowflake Summit, which thinking of that now, Snowflake is a terrible name for your summit nowadays because it just sounds like a diss that someone else is calling, like, oh, that's the Snowflake Summit. That's where all the
nobody likes liberal mountains.
yeah, nobody goes there. Nobody
all
likes
the mountains
that.
in California. Yeah.
CEO Frank Slootman says it feels like A and I are the only 2 letters left in the alphabet.
Oh, I get it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Took me a little bit.
Enertopia Corp wants me to know that they engage with Apex Geoscience for 4.3-101 report on it's just a picture of someone's farmer's market table with what seems to be molten metal covering it. And that's what they're trying to sell me.
What?
Which is wild. And then this research outreach. In recent years, Japan has seen an increase in the extreme rain events. Research from Japan's NIED aims to improve flood resilience through advanced techniques like flood inundation mapping and hydrological modeling. I don't care about Japan's flood season. I also don't care about the 0.6 centimeter long corn rootworm that can infect my Great Pyramid of Giza.
Wait, hold on. I'm way more interested in that. Whatever sentence you just said, I'm way more interested in that corn
this promoted
worm.
tweet
Louise.
from Bayer AG at about 0.6 centimeters long, corn rootworm may be tiny, but it's a huge threat, decimating over 5 million tons of corn per year, enough to fill the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Kansas
but
is
not for
quaking right
long. RNAi tech helps farmers protect their crops while using less resources. That's hashtag science for better. And then they have this picture of a giant thing of corn shaped in the
oh my god.
Great Pyramid of Giza.
I can't imagine why you would block them.
And they include the capstone, which is very interesting if you know anything about Giza. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Oh, sorry, this last one is a company that sells you a program that lets you track your net worth.
Oh my god. You got to sign up. Come on.
And it just has a quote that says from like a person who's obviously not real. Kubera is a tool I was looking for to track my net worth. I love the simplicity, the automatic updates, the reports, the support for multiple currencies. Like, obviously, what do you mean?
Like, that should be a base feature. Like, come on
now. Yeah.
Oh, Frederico C gave it 5 stars out of 5.
Thanks, Frederico. Honestly,
tracking his net worth,
doing the Lord's work.
It's funny seeing that the ad and marketing bots like start to lose their shit when you go in like incognito mode or they can't tell who you are. They're like, "What do you mean I can't show you the vacuum that you looked at on Amazon last night? What do you mean?" And it's like, yeah. Remember when advertising you couldn't explicitly target individual persons, you asshole?
Yeah, it's
now you're just getting Great Pyramids of Giza's of corn.
No,
I was about to say
where
porn.
I've been lost in the spectrum of I'd rather get rootworm in my porn than in my corn.
Who will save the pyramid of corn?
That's a Mr. Beast video waiting to happen for sure.
Yep, for sure.
Sorry, I just thought those were funny, and I was taking screenshots.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah,
and wacky.
they just like I'll get those for like 10 days, and then I'll get Coca-Cola, and I'm like,
right.
Have I not blocked you already? I blocked Minecraft today. Sorry, Minecraft.
A sad day.
They had to go. Moving on in the chit chat section, Ian and I on Saturday morning
I believe it was Sunday morning.
Sunday morning, yes, the Lord's Day. While folks were in church, we were in heaven, making a beautiful review system to ultimately, get the true score of a game. I think was the ultimate goal.
Okay.
And we devised that system.
Let me,
sorry, you take over. I was passing it to you, but then you stopped talking.
I'll take it over. You check your messages.
Okay.
So basically, what started as a joke, an idea of what if we came up with a ridiculous rating system, slowly devolved into something that was still half a joke, but also became somewhat serious. And basically, at the end of this 2-hour stream, we came up with a 75 plus criteria system for reviewing a game. And we're going to start testing it out. We did a short test of BattleBit Remastered, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and we talked about it last week on the podcast. I believe we got a 62 in this rating system, which sounds low, but then you realize this is a fair rating system, and that game on a fair scale is a 6 out of 10. And so our first volunteer is going to be Stu.
I'm a victim.
So you have answered all 70 plus review questions for a game, and we're going to reveal the score to you. You want to tell us the game that you submitted, and maybe give us your brief verbal review, and then we'll reveal the objective score it's received.
Got it. Okay, sure. Yeah, my biased review first. So I submitted Firewatch. It's one of my favorite games. I think it was the first time that a game's story and characters took the forefront for me in terms of like the writing specifically. It felt like I'm not the one who coined this. I think it was IGN said it felt like a novel. It was like a novel that you could come back to every so often and just really enjoy these characters in this world and how beautiful it is. So I'm making a video about it. That's why it was on my brain, but I was shameless plug, but it'll be on Subpixel. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not saying. Whatever. Anyways,
no, you're gonna get more reviewers on your own channel than you will on ours.
Probably true.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all.
It probably is.
No. Absolutely not.
If you want like 200-300 views, come on over to Subpixel.
If you want 300 views, come over to the Super Dong channel because that's what I'm getting.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So we're actually honestly it would be the same. Anyways. So I did all the questions. Do we want to give the score and then we can go through kind of the process of it?
Yeah,
or
do you want
to
do that?
Okay, because I have some critiques.
I'm not going to reveal the whole mystery behind the system, but I'm curious to hear your response to it. Okay. Your final score. I'm sorry, not your score. The final score for Firewatch was an 81.
That's pretty darn good.
Oh.
That's very high in an objective system. It's an 81 out of 100. Your highest categories in order: perfect score on sound.
Yep.
And then design and story at 97 and 96. Your two lowest categories, or the game's two lowest categories, was release date. Unfortunately, only a 30 out of 100.
Oh, that sucks.
Forgot what I put on that one.
And also, sorry, I'm just checking gameplay. Gameplay was a 46 out of 100. But overall, an 81, which honestly it's very high on this.
And honestly, like if it's an 8 out of 10, that's probably what I would give Firewatch. Like it sits right there. It's not like I'm, amazing, but I do love it and it's worth playing. So that's 8 is great. I think that's awesome.
So just to say it for the listeners at home, first of all, thank you for listening, one person. Second of all, the way we set this up was we built the spreadsheet, but then we extrapolated all the categories and criteria into relatively generic questions and then put it into a Google survey and sent that out. So all Stu did was just answer questions in a Google survey, and it comes back in, and there's all these mathematics and formulas applied to it to then get the final score. So I'm curious, how did you feel about the survey questions?
Survey questions were good. These are where I have slight critiques. Is like there were ones and only critiques in just like the structure of it is like Firewatch is not an online game at all.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any mode, but the questions for the online sections didn't give an option for like no online mode available. It was only like
Were those required questions?
Oh, I
thought I had not required those. But it doesn't matter
either way.
Because I caught that and I just nulled out. It didn't even consider multiplayer for the score.
Sweet. Because that was the only thing I was worried about. Is I was like, well, it's not something it can actually be scored by.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, yeah, the questions were honestly they were great. Yeah, I loved that you guys did things of it was sound design. It was every single element of gameplay and like narrative and story was in there. What? Why?
Sorry. It's just you're praising us right now, and it's just I'm loving it so much.
The stream was
I thought it was good. Okay, the only other thing is I think you asked for review scores or like a numeric score from Polygon and Kotaku.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, but I don't think they score their games that way. I don't think they use you convert it.
Yeah.
So
no, but the inputs I think were out of 10. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was like
no, it was a text. But he's saying like, Polygon, I think Polygon recently only does like a recommend or not, right? But previously they would do like a 3 out of 5 or something. So where we can, we try and convert it to a 100-point scale.
Got it. Okay, because I think Kotaku for Firewatch at least had a review, but it was unscored in the kind of metric of that.
Actually, you know what we're talking about? I have it right up in front of me. Let me just get.
That would be good to look.
So GameSpot was a 7 out of 10. That's a 70. IGN was a 9.3. Polygon was an 8.5. So we convert those. Kotaku was unscored, so we just left it off. It didn't even factor in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So don't worry. It's not going to be a negative because they didn't give it a score. We'll just exclude it.
To be completely honest, I did not know Google Survey was that smart. Like, I didn't know it would be doing all of this math or that you could take stuff off of it.
Ian's doing it.
No. Well, I'll just say this way. It's nice because when you fill out the survey, it automatically dumps it into a spreadsheet. And then I have a spreadsheet that just pulls whatever you put in and converts it as needed. Nice. And I have to do a little bit of cleanup, but it's mostly automatic.
Right. If there's not a multiplayer mode, things like that, that's where you go and like, oh, okay. I know you guys are laughing, but it was honestly a great way to score a game. Well, because it made me think about different aspects of the game that I wasn't necessarily and like rounding up reviews myself. It actually made me search out more reviews than I probably saw for the game when it came out. So I don't know. I give you guys praise for it.
I'm genuinely gobsmacked because it's about to get very funny. Ian, what is Stu 1 here today? No. Where do we go?
I've won a corn pyramid of Giza. That's what I won.
So this isn't completely hidden. Again, this is a new segment, but I think the way we do this is we develop the system live on stream. So it's not a complete mystery, but I think the rule we should have is nobody's allowed to know the system before they submit a game, but after they've submitted a game, we can reveal some of it to them. And I would love
that's
to.
Good.
Yeah. So I think the first one is we do judge a game based on release date. That does factor in. I believe it ends up being like 1/10 or 1/12 of the total score. And basically the way it works is that the best day of the week to release on is a Friday, followed by a Saturday, and then a Thursday, and then it counts down from there. And the best month is a November, September, March, and then it counts down from there. So
wait, hold on. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Why hold on.
Because we say so.
Just fair enough. I will take that.
Yeah, we had a discussion. It probably took 15 minutes to figure that out. So because
days of the week made sense, it was just the months that I was kind of like.
So, for example, Firewatch came out on a Tuesday in February.
That's bad.
And Tuesday, I believe, is 3 points out of 7 possible points, which gives it a score of 43. And a Friday is the second worst month. Oh yeah, February is the second worst month, so it's a 2 out of 12, which is 17. So it averaged out to a 30. So just an example behind the madness that did factor into it.
That's why when you said it, I was kind of like, oh, what was the question for that? Like, what did I answer for release day? I just put the date in.
You scored low on release date. Oh, it's like getting your SATs back and be like, yeah, you scored low on your name.
Yeah. And then
just, oh my god, that's so funny.
It's funny to hear you say that we considered that we had so many nuanced questions about all the different ways of the game, when the way we did it was we were like, we should get a score on story. But what does story mean? Story means setup, themes, onion, resolution, and yes. So those were the 5 questions you asked, which is if I can give you a little bit of a thing here.
Onion's my favorite.
The setup question was, is the world building exposition interesting? And the onion was how layered or nuanced is the story? And your score factored into 1/5 of the story total score. Yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
it was a joke, but it genuinely works as a system pretty well.
I think it does. Yeah. I think it gives a more accurate rating of that game than I had seen anywhere else. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I think you guys have $1 million idea. If I'm gonna be honest.
So, this is going to be a continuing segment on local chat. I think basically anybody who doesn't know the system and is a guest, we should have them review something, and we'll reveal the score to them. And every week we'll reveal a little bit more of the system.
I love that so much. Wait, okay, hold on. I'm sorry. Wait, it was onion and yas? Yas?
It's setup, themes, onion, resolution, and yas. Yas as in like, how much did you enjoy the story?
Like yas, like that?
Exactly. And I think the question was literally, how much did you enjoy the story? 1 to 10.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly, yeah. Oh my.
And that score becomes 1/5 of the story score.
And Yas is not on there once.
It's on there multiple times. Okay. I don't want to know where, but it'll reveal more as I listen more. That's genius, guys. That's really good.
Such a stupid idea.
I love it. I love it so much. Because it was also like, you sent me the link and I was like, oh, this would be good. Like I'll do like a page of it, and I just kept clicking and it was like more questions, and I just kept clicking and it was like more questions, and I was like, because in my mind I was like, oh, this is a thing they really want to implement. Maybe it's a new section that they really want to like flesh out, and like, I was taking it so seriously. I was like, yes, okay. Yes, let me just fill out my.
Well, you nailed it. I mean, 81, right?
That's perfect.
I feel like that's a fair score for that game. That's like a perfectly fair score for that game.
Between BattleBit at 62 and Firewatch at 81, those are 2 like very good tests of the system.
Yes, absolutely. I think the system works.
I should review a game. We gotta. Oh, you know what? We gotta do a new ranking list though. I think put that together.
We can start building the ranking list based off of. You submit a game, it goes through the system, and then it gets spit out in the rank.
If we have a page for that, I can make it a new scene with that, just so we can check in on it.
Okay, I'll work on that.
And we can look at that. Wow, sorry, I was laughing pretty good there. Firewatch solid 81 on the new Subpixel rating system. Subpixel is our OnlyFans. Jesus. We play games this week. Time to move to the game section of the video of the podcast. Who wants to go first? Ian, you only play one game, which means you're the number 1 guy to go first.
Boom, boom, I did it. I've been playing more BattleBit Remastered. This is the low poly, high player count indie Battlefield clone that I talked about last week. It's been out, I think, a week and a half now, almost 2 weeks. I think it's hugely popular for streamers. It's hugely popular on Steam. I think it's up to like 80,000 concurrent players.
Wow.
As its max all-time high. It's a lot of fun. I'll just touch on 2 things real quick that have happened to me in another week of playing this game. And one is I finally got to play a nighttime map. So from what I can tell, every map has a day version and a nighttime version. And when you're on a server and the round ends, you have maps that you can vote on, and you can vote on any of like the 6 maps, and you can vote on either the day or the night version. So most people never pick a night map. I think I can understand why, having played one, but for some reason I was playing and people picked a night map, and it's a Battlefield map, but it's at night. But they're doing a couple cool things. One of them is it's pretty dark. Like it's not pitch black, but it's dark enough that like past maybe 50 meters, everything starts to kind of blur together. Not like literally blur, but like you can't, there's not a color distinction, etc., because it's just too dim, which is good. Everybody by default has night vision goggles. It's not something you have to equip or unlock. So you got night vision goggles. However, when you have the night vision goggles down, you cannot use scopes and you can't fire an RPG. So I genuinely love it, because for snipers, they can't use scopes. So you just can't, well, you can use a scope, but you can't use night vision. And I tried to do it once, and like you just could barely see anything. But with night vision, you can see people, I wouldn't say fairly clearly, but you can definitely see them a lot better. And then the other thing is it can be a little hard to tell friendly from enemy. The only thing they have is they have like a lit up LED on the back of their helmet that you try to see. So it ended up being this match where you're in this map that everybody knows, but all of a sudden the fights are much closer and more chaotic, because you can't see somebody 100 meters away and be like, boom, enemy, shoot them. You're not really noticing that. And there's no snipers, and the RPG, which I love to fire, I couldn't fire it with night vision. So every time I pulled out the RPG to fire it, I had to take off the night vision, put the RPG up, kind of aim through like the darkness at what I wanted to shoot at, which is frustrating as an RPG player, but I totally understand why they did that, and I love that.
Big RPG player.
Yeah. Seriously? I fucking love the RPG. Just real quick, I had an encounter the other day. I load in with 5 rounds in my RPG, 5 rockets, and I posted up somewhere. I got in a fight, had to pull out my RPG, and I killed 7 people with 5 rounds. Like, I was just like kept peeking out of cover and shooting. It's incredible. And it's just so much fun. But the other thing is everybody has tracer rounds, which during the day is like, okay, cool, there's a little bit of tracers, but at night it's fucking lighting up. So a lot of times you're not shooting at people, you're just shooting at tracer rounds that are coming from the distance. And it was very chaotic. It was a lot of fun. I don't think I've ever played a game that has a nighttime mode that so drastically changed how you play the game and how a lot of people play the game. And I'm not a huge fan of it. It's not like I want to play that all the time. Maybe 1 out of every 10, 20 rounds would be fun, but it's just exciting to see them implement it so well in a game like that, where just changing it to night mode and the way they did the mechanics really flipped it. It was a lot of fun.
So cool.
Yeah, it's a great game.
That's dope. Did you say the MG, your second note?
No, I'll just say it real quick. I think one of the best things about that game is if you're into it, and I am, you can 100% treat that game like a meat grinder. And a lot of people are on mics, and a lot of people are role playing a bit. And so there are moments where you end up on, there's this great map that I was playing on where basically there's like a jungle and there's like 4 bases. And the main way into each of the bases is across a bridge. Like there's like a bridge on either side of the base, or you can flank through the jungle. So if you don't want to be in the meat grinder, you can go through the jungle and snipe and all that. But if you like the meat grinder, folks, those bridges are fucking crazy. And so I was ending up in these moments where, like, you know, you're like trying to cross the bridge and you end up like huddling behind a barrier, and there's like 5 other people with you. And every 2 seconds, one of them's going down and then getting revived and going up, and everybody's like, throw smokes, throw smokes. And then I'm just like laying down machine gun fire, and then I'm like, get up, boys, we gotta rush them. We start running across the bridge and we're getting mowed down. And it's just like, this is one of the best meat grinder games I've ever played, because if you want to be in an atmosphere like that, everything's blown up, grenades going off, and you're shooting people, it's a lot of fun, but what takes it over the top is that so many people are on mic and they're having fun and they're role playing. And like when people get shot, they're not just like, "Hey, can you res me? Can you res me?" They're typically screaming like, "My leg! Get me up my leg!" Like it's just so much fun playing with that community.
I would love to have someone have the SpongeBob my leg. My leg.
My leg.
That's
Yeah.
a good one.
You just like hear
Yeah.
it in the distance. You're like, "Oh, my buddy's down." My leg.
Yeah, the game's great.
I need to play it some more. It is truly fun. I had a question, Ian. Are there unlockable night vision scopes?
I think there is an unlockable infrared scope, but I believe it's pretty far down. So you would probably not get it. You'd probably have to play like 40 plus hours of the game to get that.
What time of day is infrared usually?
It's like high noon.
Great joke. Stu,
Yes.
please, you have to talk about it because I named the episode after it.
Oh.
Final Fantasy 16.
Yes.
Tell me all about it. How much you love it. It's your game of the year. It's gonna get an 82 in our rating system. Better than Firewatch. Oh,
Well,
you did all the side quests.
Well, here's the thing: is I actually don't feel that way about the game. I think it's I'd jump out the window.
Do it. You won't.
Sorry, no, I won't. Because I want to talk about Final Fantasy. So,
You can bring the microphone with you.
Okay. My leg. So I'm playing Final Fantasy 16, and I was editing Skill Up, just another YouTuber, his review of it, and he did not like it at all. And I was kind of before I had started playing it, I'd only played the demo, and I loved the combat. You know, that Platinum Games, Bayonetta, Devil May Cry style combat really clicked with me. Story, people have said it before, it's very Game of Thrones-ish, which I like. I like connecting all the onions, if you will, the layers of the story. And all of that stuff. So I was down with that. Voice acting was fine. You know, it's like a Japanese like English voice acting, which apparently they use the English first, because sometimes for the English voice acting it's like very over the top, but this felt a little more grounded. And so I was into that as well. And I got to the main game and I kind of realized, I was like, this is a great game, but I don't know if it's a great Final Fantasy game. It's really, really fun, but it loses a lot of what makes that series so special. And the review I was editing talks about this too, of just kind of the depth of the mechanics of that combat system don't go as far as you think they would, or at least for me, as much as I would like them to. And there is basically no tactical aspect. You are just mowing down enemies and fighting and doing big things, which, to be fair, in those giant moments, like those boss fights and those, even the quick time events, I was in love with, because they're just like, the spectacle is over the top in a way that I have not seen in a video game in recent memory. And I should preface, I'm fairly new to the Final Fantasy series. I've only played 15 and 7 remake, so I'm really only like 2 in. But you can even feel it there, of like there is something missing. Like there, even with those which are very action focused or hybrid focused, you're like there is in 16 there's a bit of depth missing from this combat system. The presentation is phenomenal. It looks amazing. Like if you're into it, it would be the reason to get a PS5. Like it runs well, like all that stuff. I haven't had any issues with it. And the story continues to be fantastic. It is just kind of like, if it wasn't for these long drawn out cutscenes that hold most of the story and most of your playtime, which I am into, if you're not into those, it's going to be a slog to get through the game, because the combat is really, it's only short bursts. It's not the primary focus, whereas in previous Final Fantasies I felt it was much more like random encounter based, all that stuff. Like this one's linear and guides you through combat sections, but I feel like not as once you're done with that section, you're done. Like yeah, it's interesting. The open world is kind of barren. It's a weird mashup of things. That I feel like it's a bunch of different games that it's doing okay, but it's not like great overall. So that's my thoughts on it. It sucks. Okay, sorry. The last thing I will say is it sucks because the game is it's so hard. It's like because the game is genuinely good. Like it is so good and so much fun. But as a Final Fantasy game, and like at a certain point, it kind of hits this wall of like, okay, are we going to move past what you've already shown, or are we kind of plateauing, and kind of the rest of the game kind of rides on that plateau? So yeah.
That's unfortunate. I mean, but I can see what you mean. Like it's trying to be so many different pies that it doesn't end up being the one pie that you kind of want it to be.
Right. And it's not even with an expectation, obviously, of other Final Fantasy games. It's more just an expectation of like what an RPG is in 2023. And like if this is the new way that Final Fantasy is going, I'd be interested to see how they keep iterating on it if they do, because it changes every single time, obviously. So every single Final Fantasy. So we'll see. This is an interesting little touchstone to be in the release window of, for sure, in the history of this series.
Do you think there's a Final Fantasy 17, or do you think they dropped the number on the next one?
It's a 16-2.
Yeah, 16-2, 16 rebirth, reform, reimagining, whatever, you know.
358 over 16 days.
No, that's Kingdom Hearts. We don't talk about that. God, those naming conventions. What is it like? Second chapter prologue 2.8.
Have you? I don't know. Maybe it's just the Twitter algorithm for me, but apparently the discourse around Final Fantasy 16, like action RPG combat, etc., where, you know, some people are like, oh, this is the first time it's been done really well, and some people are like, no, we're not that big a fan of it, they should go back to the traditional, has caused this discussion for people to say, hey, you know what had really good combat and was an action RPG was the Kingdom Hearts series. And they're fucking wrong, because that combat's
you're playing it right now. That's true. Well, okay, it's trash. You've never played, right? You're on your first playthrough of any of them?
I played two all the fucking way through, and then I played, I think, 2/3 of one. Okay. So I've played a decent amount of that.
Okay.
It does not hold up. It's bad. It does not feel good. I think
you're a quitter. It's okay.
No, one is really bad. I thought two was okay. Like at a baseline.
Yeah, I can see okay.
It's not anything special, but it is like okay. But the one combat is like, oh, that is tough. But to be honest, I think 7 Remake does a really good job of kind of doing the Final Fantasy combat in a more interesting way, and then actually using the party more and like doing all that stuff.
Yeah, but even 15 had even 15 had that. Yeah,
and what's so weird about 16 as opposed to 15, which I feel like got hated on just immensely when it came out, as opposed to this, which is getting such high praise, is there is no party in Final Fantasy 16. You have your dog, you have Torgal, at least in the section that I'm playing. You have Torgal that you can command to do stuff, but the other people in your party, which is usually only one other person, they just kind of sit there and every 5 seconds do their little lightning attack, or you can't control them at all. Like that, that's it. So, and that's really disappointing too, because the customization and the kind of, it's such an integral thing of like, who do you want in your party? That's like such a big Final Fantasy thing. Yep. And I know 15, it was just the 4 boys and they were going on their little Backstreet Boys road trip. But 7 switching out people and like doing that whole thing, that's lost there as well, which I think is like really something that Final Fantasy had, for lack of a better term, perfected in terms of like its RPG systems. So that's what I mean by like they're bringing something new to the table, but they're also shedding a lot. And just from hearing about it, I know that Yoshi P was like, yeah, kids don't like RPGs, don't like turn-based RPGs anymore. And I was like, I mean, have you ever played Pokemon or
Stop
like,
talking to
you know?
kids then.
Yeah,
Like, what are we
exactly, but
doing
that's
here?
like that's the direction I guess he felt like the it just wasn't a marketable, RPGs are not a marketable game
Yeah.
gameplay
It's becoming more
facet
niche.
anymore. Yeah, which is so weird because at a time it was like the big
Yeah.
thing. But yeah.
Um,
So it is an interesting turning point.
not to derail you, I was gonna make a joke
no.
about is it the Final Fantasy? Like, have they done it? And from there, in my incredible brain, I thought that's not funny enough. I don't know if either of you know the story. It's called Final Fantasy because it was their, well, what they say, it was their last effort to make a game, popular game, before they were going to shut the studio down. So they called it their Final Fantasy to make it. And I would just like to go back in time and let them know, guys, you're gonna fucking nail it. Don't call it Final Fantasy. Call it First Fantasy. Then you get Second Fantasy, Third Fantasy, and now we're on the 16th Fantasy. Like, I think that's a better name than Final Fantasy 16 is 16th Fantasy.
I know that's a joke, but low-key that works better because every single one of them is different. So it's just some person's different fantasy every time.
And then it could be like 8th Fantasy 2, or 10 is the one with 2, 10th Fantasy 2, 10th Fantasy 1, 10th Fantasy, like
10th,
I'm building a time machine.
13th Fantasy Returns, something like that. Yeah.
That for me is like the wildest thing. I didn't grow up with Final Fantasy, didn't really play one until a couple of years ago. And it was a while. It was until I was like 20 and talking to somebody that I realized they are not connected, that they are individual games. It is not the 20th in a series. It is not the 7th in a series or whatever. And that to me, I know it's not a big deal, but that to me is the wildest thing about Final Fantasy is that they just keep calling it the same thing, but they're different games, but they're similar enough that they get away with it. And that's the thing where I'm like, that's crazy.
And there's always references to the Spoony Bard, and there's always a Cid somewhere in there. Even Kingdom Hearts has Cid, like Chocobos. Yeah.
Who?
Interesting. Hey, whoa, hold on. Hey, that's the Final Fantasy. Wait, what are you talking
about? Speaking of hey ho, how's the Tears of the Kingdom going?
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I'm just so dumbstruck with how massive that game continues to be and continues to open up into. And I'm going on a trip to Canada on the 4th of July, and I'll be on a plane, and I feel like that's
fucking
the first
traitor.
I'm like, I got to get out of this country.
I can't be here.
I can't be here on the 4th of July.
I don't blame you.
My camera went away.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
The FBI.
I said I'm leaving the country, and he was like, I'm out. Never talk to me again.
Oh boy.
And I don't know.
No, you're good. You can keep talking.
Okay. But like I'll have the 5 hour or somewhat because we're going to the eastern side of Canada. And I'll have the first time I felt like in like a month to actually just sit and play as much of Tears of the Kingdom as I can on that plane ride. And I feel it's what I need to get back into it because, Final Fantasy, I've weirdly been playing Grand Theft Auto 4 because I've never played that on the Steam Deck, which is really good.
How is it on the Steam Deck?
It runs great. It runs really great, actually. And I've never played that one. I've never experienced it, and it was so cheap. I think I bought it on the Xbox 360 recently to add to the collection. And I was like, I want to play this, but don't want to have to go back and forth to my parents' house to play it. So I got that and have been playing that as well. But Tears of the Kingdom, I'm kind of daunted by. I'm like, oh my god, I need to like sit down and force myself to just get back into that world because it's so good. It's amazing. But it just takes some time to get back into. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to segue, but
no, please.
Are you going to Montreal?
I am going to Montreal.
Oh, Montreal's fucking amazing. It's
Yeah.
is this your first time there?
First time. I've never been to Canada.
Oh my god.
Oh,
It's so good. It's
So we're
so
doing-
good.
Montreal's great.
Montreal and Quebec City are the ones I'm most excited
Oh,
for.
trash city. Don't go there.
Never been
No, I'm
there.
kidding.
Quebec City.
I've never
Yeah.
been to
Montreal's
Quebec
great.
City.
Quebec City, trash.
Slums.
We're doing first night is Niagara Falls on the Canada side, which I've also
Okay.
never been to. So 4th of July will be spent at Niagara
In
Falls.
Canada.
On
In
the wrong
Canada.
side.
Yeah, exactly. But
That's the big side, though. Yeah.
Oh, that's the I don't know, better side or whatever. I have
It
no
is.
idea.
Yeah, that's the side where it's all built up. The U.S. side doesn't have
Yeah,
much at
they
all.
kept it for themselves.
The US side's just like Buffalo, New York, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think they have the real estate on the U.S. side to build up. Whereas the Canadian, you'll see.
got
There's a
it.
great wax museum
Oh, really?
with Hitler
It seems
in
very. Oh my god,
the real one. No, it's a wax.
preserved. Oh my god, the
Covered in
Canadians
wax.
have Hitler somehow. That
my
that weirdly
God.
tracks
They
in my
would.
brain.
They would.
Yeah, they're quirky like that. Then we're going to Toronto, which I'm excited to see.
Toronto's good.
Isn't it's like the biggest city in Canada? It's like the most metropolitan.
It's big.
Yeah, like 5,000
Yeah.
people.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then we go to Ottawa, Quebec City, and 5,000. It's fine. Quebec City, and then in Montreal, which I think will be the best to like.
Montreal's amazing. Montreal's so good.
Get some
Don't get the
poutine.
bagels though; they're not good.
Oh,
You have to
the
get
bagels.
San
Very-
Vitor bagels. They're the
San
best
Vitor.
bagels in the world. They're incredible.
Too bad you don't
Do
have
they-
George there to guide you through Montreal.
Ooh,
My
Yeah,
friend
so-
George
so-
was there on a trip when we were there.
Yeah.
By happenstance, he happened to be
Oh.
there at the same
Oh my
time.
God.
First time ever out of the country too.
Whoa!
And we met up with him because I realized he was there, and he just started touring us around Montreal like he lived
love
there
that.
for 50 years.
But he'd been there.
But
He'd
he
been
was
there
also-
for like 24 hours.
I
yeah.
love that. I love
And he'd
that.
gotten
so
lost
much.
already once.
Yeah.
But he's guiding you guys. Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Yeah.
That's so good.
It's a great city, though. It's fantastic.
It is a great, yeah. I did genuinely enjoy that place.
My brother and I are looking for like video game hunting spots to add to
There's-
the collection.
Yeah, there's
There were
good
some
places.
good ones in Montreal.
Okay,
And they
sweet.
were
there
cheap.
good ones.
They're I mean, the rare stuff was obviously expensive, but they had a
Yeah.
good selection of like they're not rare, but you don't normally see them at game stores.
They had that plastic bin full of, I want to say 20 or 30 Bandai Wonder Swans, the little portable
Oh,
devices,
yeah.
and they were like
What?
25. They were like $25 each, and I
Yeah.
should have got one, but I didn't.
And it was
So-
like it was in a building. You went into an elevator up to like the third or fourth floor
Yeah,
to
it
like
was in
offices
like an office building,
where
kinda.
the thing
That's
was.
so cool. That's what I've been seeing is like Toronto has some that are just like it's just like a house or an apartment building that you
Yeah.
like go into the basement and it's so cool. I actually found out about a place recently near me in Santa Rosa that is literally just someone's garage that they open up
I
and
could
you
see that.
call and you're like, "Hey, I want to go get some games," and it's called the Retro Shack for anybody in the Bay Area. And it looks wild because it's just piles and you just sort
Mhm.
through. And someone had posted, they're like, "Oh yeah, I built a full I think the game was Double Dribble or something for the Sega Genesis." And he's like, I built it all. I found the box, I found the game by itself, I found the manual by
Oh
itself,
my
I put it all
God.
together and
Oh.
like asked for a price. So I was like, that's cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Anyways, sorry, this video game collecting tangent. But yeah, very excited for Canada. Very,
It's
very
awesome. Canada's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm
I
jealous
do-
you
I-
get to go.
So we leave on the 4th, and because the past the past 2 years, this is America being mad at me for leaving on the 4th. The past 2 years I haven't really needed a passport. It's pandemic times 3 years. And I just haven't been traveling that much, especially out of the country. My passport expired, and my appointment to get a new one is on July 3rd at 9 a.m. And so I hope that they can give me a new one before I travel the next day. Because the thing is, I wasn't allowed to call until 2
Yeah.
weeks before I'm leaving, which is
The same
I
thing
don't know, it's
happened to
ludicrous
Maggie. Yeah,
me.
like like if you know it's going to expire, they do this thing where they're like, okay, you can get an appointment, but you're not allowed to get an appointment until like the week or two before you have to travel. It's a weird system, but hopefully, I think they literally print it there. That's what they did for Maggie, so you should be okay. She had to fly from Florida to New Orleans.
Oh my god!
Like 3 days before our cruise, just to get her passport renewed, because that was the only place that had an appointment in time.
I was lucky that San Francisco had one, because I was like, I will travel. I will go to Portland, Oregon. I will go to Seattle. I will go to LA. I will go to San Diego. I'll go Sacramento, wherever you need me. Vegas even. And they're like, oh, it's okay. We have one in San Francisco, but it's on July 3rd, the day before. Like crap.
That'll be great. That'll be a great trip though.
I'm very excited. Very excited. Yeah. But speaking of cities with 5,000 people in them, major metropolitan cities, Grand Theft Auto 4 has one of the most amazing cities I think I've ever experienced in my life.
It's great.
It's very wild and like built for public transportation in a way that I've never seen in a video game before. It is a walkable city in a video game, and I'm like, that's wholly unique. I can't think of another city that's that good. For Grand Theft Auto 2, we're usually driving around, but like I usually take a taxi or take the subway or walk to where I'm going in a mission, and I don't feel like I'm wasting any time. It's wild. I've never felt that way before. It's so good.
You're making me want to play it, because I played GTA 4 a ton at my friend's house when it came out, and we would just stay up to like 1 a.m. driving around. Like we wouldn't do story missions really. And we just drive around. I would always, on the like Harley motorcycle, I would pop the tires and then drive around and drift everywhere and just say I'm Ghost Rider. So it would just be like sparks everywhere. And that's when the incredible Nicolas Cage movie had come out. So you were just like, oh, Ghost Rider's so cool.
Love that guy.
So that's I literally installed it on my Steam Deck day one. Because like, oh, I hope this runs on here. Like, I should check it out. And so you saying that it runs makes me extremely excited to go.
It's for a game from, what is it, 2006, I think?
Sounds right.
2006 or 7. It still looks great. It isn't in that kind of mud era of video games where everything was just painted mud. Gears of War and like Grand Theft Auto. I guess that's what the next generation was just like everything was mud colored.
Mud tech.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it holds up extremely well. It's so good. I'm having a blast with it. That's all I've been playing.
Nice. I'll try to be quick here, and by quick I mean terribly long. Lost Planet, I finally beat that last level. That last boss, real bitch. So punched him at the space elevator, and beat that game. I have no idea what's happening in that video game. It is unintelligible. Inscrutable is the word I was looking for. It just seems like they had a bunch of cutscenes and a bunch of levels, and they shook the box up, and that's what came
Marvel
out.
Movie.
You know what? Kind of like that.
Tears. Who makes Lost Planet? Was that Cap?
It was Capcom. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to. That and Dead Space weirdly get confused in my brain. For whatever reason.
Yeah. Dead Space is Square Enix.
Yeah. Yes, classic. It's actually part of the Final Fantasy series.
Yeah, Final Dead Space. Lost Planet 1's good. Like, it's got good mechanics. It's got solid gameplay. It's just like where the story and all that stuff sort of drops the ball. And it must have sold very well or done well somehow, because there's a second and a third. I might finally move on to the second one, but I'm not sure. Tears of the Kingdom, I have cried all I could. I have defeated the game. I have beaten it. I got to I finished the regional phenomena quest, and I said to myself, this has to be like Breath of the Wild. I should be done after this. And then there was like 15 to 20 more hours of a video game.
Jeez Louise. Well,
most of that was like me dilly-dallying, because I realized I wasn't going to finish the game, so I was like, let me now do all the stuff. You could probably do it in like 5 or 8. So I beat it. Hey, banger of an ending. Bit of an okay lead up. There's a couple final quests there, just like there's one quest that like I already did and had you do before, and then it has you complete it again. I guess in case you somehow missed it the first time, but I don't know why it does that. I was kind of scratching my brain at it because it was just like, you got this item already. Here's the quest. You completed it. And I'm like, but you gave me a quest to get this item earlier. So why? But I guess their quest for it earlier was to find the location of it and not necessarily get it. So
Gotcha.
Interesting.
But yeah, it was fun to beat. The ending was great. And it wasn't like vague like I feel like most Zelda endings are. It was just like nice little wrap ups, cool epic moments, and you're just like, oh, okay, and like genuine like, oh, the why, like that sort of stuff. So it was fun. It was very fun. I am now subject to watching Karen play it, where I tell her, oh, you should go do this, and then she does like 50 different things before doing that. I think I was like, oh, you should go do the depths quest, because I really wanted her. She kept bringing up, she's like, I wish there was something that like I build this whole thing and then I lose it and I can't build another one. Like I just got to go build another thing. And I was just like, go do this quest, please.
Yeah, that was one of the things where I had that frustration, and I was like, I am going to Google if at some point in the game I get this, and people were like, yeah, here it is, here's how you get it, and I was like, thank you. Like I think that's one of the few flaws of the game, is that they do not beeline you to that fast enough.
That's true,
because before then it's annoying messing with the constructions and stuff.
That's true.
So she's really enjoying it. It's funny like to watch her, even with just like the Addison stuff, like she'll come at it from a completely different angle, and I'm just like, oh, like I like my brain thinks about it this way, so it's interesting to see like her solution is just as valid, but it's just not something I ever would have thought of. So it's fun to experience it again by watching her play it. And yeah, I asked her to go do that depth quest, and I walked in the room. She goes, I'm just gonna get it after this tower, don't worry. And I left, and I came back like 30 minutes later, and she's like, I'm just wrapping up this shrine quick, and then I'm gonna go do the depth quest. I'm like, excuse me. It's been like 2 hours.
That's so
so yeah, that was super fun. And Alundra 2, my power or my internet was out this morning, so I said, let me beat the final boss. And the last 3 or 4 hours of that game is puzzle hell. If you like pushing a video game's engine to its physical limits in the amount of tiny little jumps you can make between objects, this Alundra 2 is for you. There was one puzzle at the end. You are riding a platform towards launchers shooting fireballs at you in sequence. During that ride, you have to jump to the left, grab a crate, throw the crate back onto the platform, get back onto the platform, take the crate and throw it onto a new side, onto the right-hand side, throw it, jump up onto a platform, grab a barrel, drop the barrel down, throw both the barrel and the crate onto the platform. Once the thing reaches the fireballs, jump onto the crate, the barrel, and up past the platform to hit the switch. I have never... You know, when you were a kid and you're like, oh, come on! Like, you're just like, that should have hit. Why didn't that hit? And you're just like... I was just that mode the entire time. Like, what is happening? Like, why is this not connecting? And finally, that's when I learned 25 hours in that there's a shield block mechanic in this game. And I could have been blocking these fireballs the entire time. Still an incredibly difficult puzzle, but a little less difficult. Yeah, but from there, they just escalated to, like, it just loves to these minute things to jump your character up to these platforms. It's a lot of jumping because it's a 3D game. Like, it was one of the first, I mean, the first Alundra was a 2D game and this is a 3D game, so it's like they were just taking full advantage of it. And it's just like, that's why I was so happy for save states, especially on the final boss, who is 3 stages. And the first stage, super easy, because I can get through it without getting hit once. The second stage is just tedium. So it's just like, I feel fine save stating after these two. And then the final one was a bit of a challenge, but at that point it's just like I have so much health, I'll get hit, I'll heal myself. There were farting squirrels. I met a dragon. Somehow they just added a dragon to the game. So I guess I can just fly wherever I want. But it ended really well, and honestly, all the characters in that game were super funny and great. I think we determined it was the voice actor of Robin from Teen Titans was one of the guys, and Jennifer Hale was one of the other people. Nice. Yeah, it was super fun. And then Pikmin, I streamed on Tuesday. I've been playing that. It's also very fun. Karen taught me how to play the game better after I kept drowning all of my Pikmin. The problem I have with Pikmin, I mean, it's like a 50-year-old game at this point, but it's just like on the level select screen, tell me if I can get these things or not. Like I don't know if I can get the parts in the level or not. Like
I see what you mean.
Do I have the right Pikmin? Do I need to get more? Tell me that before I waste a day. But that's kind of the only thing. And then I understand you're supposed to lose Pikmin, get more Pikmin, stuff happens, all that, but I don't want to. So it's stressing me out when I lose them, and you're just like, ah. So
you get really connected to those little guys.
I know, they're adorable. Yeah. And then Karen also taught me there's the button where you can separate them into groups and grab certain ones of them, so you don't just walk into the river with all the yellows and red guys. And then Diablo 4, I officially in my Notion cataloging system put it to abandoned. I am no longer playing Diablo 4.
What reason? If any,
it's strictly because of one of their employees, David. No, it's I'm kidding. No, it's just I fell off it. I'd rather just go boot up Diablo 2, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's the thing is it's not really doing anything new, and what it is doing, there are other games doing better. So it's just disappointing.
Would you say even the 2 remake has come out, right?
Yeah, Resurrected.
That's been out for a while. Resurrected, yeah. Does that do it better than 4?
Yeah, I mean, I would go play 3 over 4. I'm just not having a fun time with it, and maybe in 5 or 6 years when I get it on Game Pass or it's on the Xbox or something, and I play it with Karen, then it'll be kind of fun. But it's just really wasn't a good time. I at least wasn't having fun with it. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing. Now I have a big open gap for new games. I conquered 3 games this week.
Congratulations.
Which is kind of wild. I still have, of the games that are finishable in my list of currently playing, not my boredom games, Bolt Gun I need to finish, and Luigi's Mansion I also need to wrap up.
Gotta play it before that remake, or the second one, I guess, not the first one.
Mario. Yeah. Oh man, game. I was just remembering in that game when Luigi whistles along to the music. It's just so good.
There's little moments like that throughout. Yeah.
So well crafted. On my list of possible games to play next, though, are Final Fantasy VII, the original.
Nice.
Solid.
That's on there. Valkyria Chronicles 1.
That one's good.
Or 4. I also bought 4 today.
I think I just got the remake on. Did they make a remake on the PSP?
Of
that may have been a side game.
Valkyria Chronicles or Final Fantasy?
No, Valkyria Chronicles. No, 2 is on. What? Valkyria Chronicles 1.
I've been doing so much World War II stuff, and I said,
yeah,
what
that's
can
the
I
one
get
with
that has World War II and titties? And that
I don't know that there's a lot of titties in Valkyria Chronicles. I think it's actually fairly.
I literally
somber.
when I went to go download 4, I scrolled down to the reviews and it just said, where else can you get hot tittied anime women and World War II?
What we talked about we talked about what girls in Panzer. Isn't that the one that you were talking about, Ian?
Yeah.
I was like, This is bringing back a
Yeah.
memory.
Memories.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
So yeah, it's funny. Everything I said is a lie. No, everything I read about Valkyria Chronicles, they're like play 1 or play 4, and so 4 was on sale finally because of the Steam sale, so I bought it, and then 5 minutes later, Wario64 is like, "Hey, Valkyria Chronicles 1 is $3 Steam code." And I was like, "Okay, I'll get that too then."
Yeah.
Nice.
So
That's
that's everything on the list.
Beautiful. Correction for myself, it was Valkyrie Profile is what I had just gotten on the PSP, which I don't know if you
Gotcha.
ever played, but
Gotcha.
seems cool. Haven't played it yet.
We'll play it and report back. Fill out the.
I'm gonna do the review.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
I just want it'll be like months before we have you back on because you're too much. But no, I'm kidding.
Fair,
No, but
fair.
in a reality where you somehow you go away and you can't associate with us anymore because Ian said a slur or something. We'll slowly see game
The
reviews. coming in
Jehovah's
from you.
Witnesses have gotten them.
I didn't know
Yeah,
we were
yeah,
live.
slowly.
Okay, I didn't know we were live.
It's funny. It was a slur against him, but rules are rules.
Yeah, did against himself, but
He said honky.
Nobody else was offended. He was the one who submitted the claim, the suspension too. It was so weird.
that would be part of the Subpixel lore. I'm not gonna lie. That seems there's the non-Ian arc for a while.
Yeah. Oh, where we try to find ourselves, and
The
then the
redemption
3 of us
arc.
leave, and Ian comes back, and then he has
Yes,
to find 3
it's
new
just
people.
Ian. I love
I
that.
get
We
us
go
back
start-
together.
Next pixel.
Every next pixel. It writes itself.
Are we gonna hit this news? I saw you typing out, big baby boy. Do you want to hit this news? Or you want to save it for next week after the FTC rules?
I mean, honestly, there's so much. Let's at least hit the highlights here.
Yeah, hit me with those highlights.
The court case between the FTC and Microsoft over the Activision Blizzard King.
Keep talking.
The FTC lawsuit against to stop the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard King has finally been in front of a judge. They had their arguments today as well as their closing arguments. I believe they had 5 or 6 days of testimony from Phil Spencer, Jim Ryan, whole bunch of Microsoft executives, some Sony executives. I believe they had testimony from Nintendo execs as well. Just all sorts of people in the industry, all sorts of interesting tidbits coming out. Some funny moments. Folks, you can't redact documents with Sharpies because if somebody scans the document, it will unredact it.
That's so funny.
Basically, let's hit the highlights here. Number 1, Elder Scrolls 6 is currently planned for 2026. It was something that came out of the trial today. Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West, and Last of Us 2 budgets were $200 million plus. That's from the redacted document that was accidentally unredacted. DayZ 2 is in the works from Bohemian Interactive. The big bombshell is probably Jim Ryan in an internal email saying, "We'll be fine about this deal," and that the deal is not about Call of Duty. It's more about King or mobile gaming, despite all the arguments that Sony has made to the contrary. And this last one's a little bit of an interesting tidbit. It kind of came out as part of the closing arguments today. FTC doesn't look very good in this court case, because basically they are arguing that this deal would force Sony to harm consumers. And essentially they're saying that if Microsoft acquires Activision Blizzard King, then therefore Sony is not going to send dev kits to Activision, which is going to mean Activision is then going to have to release an inferior copy of Call of Duty for Sony consumers, as well as exclusivity, saying that Sony is going to be forced to make even more of their games exclusive to counter the Game Pass threat. And it's just a very weird argument that essentially the FTC is not necessarily arguing that the deal is bad for consumers, but rather that the deal is bad for Sony. And it feels like the judge has kind of seen through that. However, the judge has been buying into the cloud gaming argument. I believe there was a quote today where she said something along the lines of nobody buys DVDs anymore because it's all about streaming movies. Streaming is the future, isn't it? We're not really sure where this is going to land. We're expected to have a decision within the next week. What was y'all's favorite takeaway or favorite moment from the trial this week?
Well, you go first.
Well, when they just started chanting "Bring back Pong," it was really interesting. Just like, what happened to Pong? Where's Pong? No, I thought it was interesting, like seeing these internal emails. The Jim Ryan, especially the Jim Ryan with the "We'll be fine," and the other guy saying Microsoft should have released the electric car instead of buying Activision Blizzard. It's just pretty funny, all that stuff. The cloud gaming thing, like I can see someone saying like, oh, it's gonna be like streaming, but I also there's so many differences to think of in that situation, so I'm afraid if they don't think about it critically, then something. Anyway, Stu, your favorite part?
It's one of those things, just to say, one of the things cloud gaming is, from the outside, it's very easy to make and buy the argument that, yes, you're going to go to streaming very soon. That's where everything else has gone. But as gamers and people who play games, it's like, no, we're not there. It's like very important fidelity, resolution, and latency, and we're nowhere near that. Excuse me, we're nowhere near that yet.
Emotional
with gaming. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you're outside of the sphere, you can totally buy that argument. I'm getting really upset about this, guys. I just want fucking Call of Duty games on Game Pass. I want to play Call of Duty 1 again. That's all I want.
Low-key, that's a legitimate argument.
Yeah. Anyways, go ahead, Stu.
What was it? Honestly, it's not been about the trial itself, but I was listening to Tam talk about this today on the Friends Per Second podcast, is like just the fanboys that know nothing about legal, like streaming stuff, and then like commenting on it as if it's like a sporting event. It's like the funniest thing to me, and it makes no sense. And he made a good point of just like, just shut up and be empathetic and just be like, this doesn't help, anything within that. It's just been funny to see the amount of people that are like, oh, they're bringing out evidence. Oh, they got him this time. And it's like, no, they're just, oh my God. Like it's a wrestling match and it's not. It's like weird.
With the chair.
I will say, I can empathize with that a little bit, because the one time I was on jury duty for 9 days, and it was a civil medical malpractice.
They dismissed you.
No, I got so invested in this case about an old man who got his eye injured by the doctor. I got so invested into this that at one point I almost said objection from the jury box.
Objection.
It would have been a valid objection. It was asked and answered. But I was like, and then I was like, oh, I got to calm the fuck down about this. like I got way into it. So I can understand people like enjoying the drama here.
That's fair. It was just so funny because it's always like the fanboy stuff is such a like, I don't know when. I guess it's always been a thing. Genesis does, but Nintendo don't, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it feels like in the past, maybe from 360 era onward, which leads to my next point of one of the favorite things is also Phil Spencer being like, yo, we've lost the console wars since 2001. Yeah. Like we have not won this at all. We, like, in comparison to PlayStation and Nintendo, are so far lower in our market. Yeah, it's wild. That was something crazy to me.
Yeah. And most of those fanboys are people unconsciously just defending their purchase option. Like, I don't think deep down they really care. Like, I don't suggest you own both consoles, but as someone who does, like, I don't care. I can play it on one or the other. Like, it just comes down to you're defending what your purchase was, which is fine. Exactly. But when you like extrapolate it further than that, it's just like, who cares, dude?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just counterpoint is, I also own both consoles, and I turn my Xbox on every day, and I turn my PS5 on once every 3 months. So
yeah, but if I only own one of them, I would turn either one of them on the same. I mean, obviously, you should.
So you get me riled up here
because it's the better console. I wish we knew more about. I wish we were bigger wrestling fanboys. I don't actually wish that, but if we could have covered the FTC live as wrestling commentators, be like, "Is that Jim? Is that Jim Ryan? Oh my God!" Just like entrance music,
soundboard, and everything. Yeah.
That would have been certainly incredible.
That'd
Folks. Ooh, this is loud in my headphones. But you know what isn't loud in my headphones? The screams of all the dead people. Because, folks, I wear these headphones that block out dead people for 4 easy payments of $19.95. You can get headphones just like this. Stu, tell them what they've won in the home game. Folks, Stu has been here. He reviewed Firewatch. It was an incredible moment. Stu, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Stewie Reviewy. You can find me on YouTube at Superdonk. I'll have a new video coming out soon about how video games are healing.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, Ian and I will be back this weekend doing something. There's something on something.
I bought third-party Legos and Lego sets from China. It took them 24 days to get here, and we're gonna put them together this weekend.
Nice.
Fuck.